And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We help extend all my vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. Because I know you can handle it. To face the truth of the matter, it's still so much better to leave the light than drag it to your grave. Because you see what to make of this, how you can turn your own tables and work this, and take advantage of your failure like you plan to anyway. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We help rekindle my vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between. You're still alive, but you've been dead inside for a long time. And I understand why, but you did this to yourself. You did this to them. You don't even remember the names. Why does anybody remember you? Why should anyone give you another chance? You know they won't. You know you deserve to be forgotten. Now you're everything you always designed. The moments you built through those innocent lies. All this effort to cover up what you've become. We already know. We already see. You can wake up and be better before you. And it's about time we address the situation and begin to get back to you. We help rekindle my vigil for your self-respect. Reputation destroyed by what you can expect to be the faceless in between.
All right, let's do it. So am I.
This program is a collaboration of personal opinions and individual free thought. It does not represent the views or narrative of the mainstream corporate media hacks. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, happy Monday. It is another, I wouldn't say a beautiful Monday. It's pretty nasty out, but it is Monday.
Yeah.
And we're here, so that makes it beautiful.
Yes. Hello, beautiful bell breakers. And we are dry, which is important.
We are dry, as in like
Not out in the
alcohol free.
Well, yeah, mostly, but that's
Today
only for
I'm
the
dry.
weekend.
Yes, today I'm dry because I can imagine drinking more. I'm one of those guys that gets drunk and I'm like, I'm never drinking again.
And then next week you're like, oh, okay.
All right, I can do this. But no, we are dry. It is Monday, and we are here for this live rendition of the Break the Bell podcast. As always, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you're listening in the future or somewhere other than those things, like on a podcast platform, you should come join us live some Monday night because
Absolutely.
it's a good time. We
It
enjoy
is.
being live. We enjoy max participation. We enjoy the comments, the feedback and stuff. So we feel like we're actually talking to somebody other than ourselves,
Yes.
even though we would just talk to ourselves.
we do that anyways.
Yeah, I do it when we're not podcasting.
Yes.
So we'll keep doing it either way. But come join us. It's fun. Invite your friends and your families and your stepchildren and
Your adopted children.
Your adopted children.
your dogs.
Yes. Yeah,
and
and
cats.
definitely your dogs and cats. Yes, all of them.
Yes.
Invite everyone because it's fun. How's everybody doing? We got an interesting one this week because there's really nothing in the news worthy of talking about. So usually when there's nothing in the news worthy of talking about, we just pick a fun topic to dig into and we discuss it because we're interested in it. If I'm
Absolutely.
interested in it, I'm going to talk about it. And if you're not interested in it, I'm sorry. It's
Well,
my show.
And usually what we find is whatever topic you end up picking or whatever rabbit hole we end up going down somehow connects with everything else.
Oh, it always has some sort of connection. Yes. So whether it's intentional or not, it's like, oh, this would be a fun thing to talk about, and then we end up finding the rabbit holes that connect it back.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I didn't know this elite organization had ties to the Great Reset.
Yeah.
Everything comes back to the Great Reset.
It does.
So, you know,
Yeah.
so.
Absolutely.
So it's easy to really kind of find ties back to it. This week, we are talking about the generous elite philanthropists and their move to save humanity
Yes.
and make the world a better place for all of
Yes,
us.
the holier than thou.
Yes, make use their like honestly gain fortunes to benefit society as we know it.
Yes.
So
Yes. I always think of, you ever see that movie The Kingsman?
no.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's
Yeah.
really good. But anyways, Samuel L. Jackson plays this billionaire corporate mogul / philanthropist, whatever.
You're gonna have a hard time
I'm
tonight.
not gonna say the P word. No, but and it, of course, it, you know, he had nefarious plans in the works underneath the all whatever.
Good God, this
Philanthropist.
is going to be a long fucking night. We're talking about philanthropists, and Bill can't say the fucking word. Philanthropist.
Philanthropist.
There you go. Just say elitists.
Yes.
No, that's what we'll call them.
Okay.
Or robber barons or
I
something.
like robber barons.
So that's what we're going to talk about. It's no secret, I don't think, that these billionaires that made their fortunes off of the less than honest means, the more manipulative to downright like monopolistic
Yes.
means of gaining their wealth. It's no surprise to hear that their charitable giving is probably less than charitable and more self-serving in more ways than one. So that's what we're going to dig into tonight because especially like today's world, we hear a lot about specifically Bill Gates and like his philanthropy and his mission. I did a whole episode. It was about a year ago, I think, on Bill Gates Saves the World.
Yes, I remember that.
So go back and check that out. You weren't here for that. I had to fly solo on that, but that was a good one too. We're going to talk a little bit about Bill Gates because I mean he's like the class example of like billionaire philanthropist today. He's one that started the what was the Giving Pledge, where all the philanthropists are going to give back most of their wealth because they're all tired of being rich and greedy.
Yeah.
Do rich and greedy people ever grow tired of being rich and greedy?
No.
It's like you spend your entire fucking life being a greedy asshole and doing whatever you can to literally crush competition. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know, I got to do my Bill Gates impersonation. Well, I just feel like in today's society, I'm just tired of being rich and greedy. I'm just, I just don't like money anymore. It's like, no. When you're that, like that mentality, that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You don't just like change heart and say, you know, I just want to give back.
Yeah.
It's like if you wanted to give back, you would have been giving back this whole fucking time.
Yeah. It's like you see Tom Brady out there, right? And it's like he was going to retire, but then he can't. And the reason why he can't is because he's addicted to the adrenaline burst he gets. And it's the same thing. These guys are addicted to the adrenaline that they get from these, you know, either closing deals or this power trip that they're on or the savior complex where they're going to save us from ourselves. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's all a power trip is what it is. And once you get to that level of wealth, riches are no longer like money is no longer doesn't really fill that anymore. Like you got to move to like power or like you got to fill that void somehow. And if money's not doing it, you got to push it to something else.
And I mean, when you get that kind of money is I mean, it's such a what would you call it, metaphysical thing at that point.
It's like irrelevant.
It doesn't even matter how much you have in the bank.
Yeah, so
because people are always giving you shit.
So one thing I want to talk about is this concept of social capital is what it seems like a lot of them are going towards is social capital, social profit. So gaining power through social capital. So we're going to get into that once we kick the show off. But before we do, we obviously got to do our due diligence and mention our sponsor. That is the greedy capitalist Run Your Mouth Coffee, the billionaire coffee company. No. Run Your Mouth Coffee supports your right to free speech and supports your right to be able to say whatever the fuck you want without some billionaire paying some social media company to deplatform you because you don't view the same things that they view. Go to rymcoffee.com. Tell them we sent you. By using the promo code Break the Bell, you'll get fresh roasted coffee delivered straight to your door. And as we mentioned over the weekend, you don't have to wear pants to do it. And that is like the biggest selling point. It took us over a year to figure out what the main selling point of this coffee would be. The main selling point, besides the fact that they support your freedoms, which is number one, obviously.
And number two, it tastes great.
Number two, it tastes great. Number three, which is close third, maybe tied for second, is you don't got to wear pants when you're buying your coffee.
Yes.
So go to rymcoffee.com. Use the promo code Break the Bell, and you'll get 10% off your purchase, plus free shipping, and you never have to put on pants.
That's beautiful.
So do it. Go to rymcoffee.com. It's delicious, and you should be supporting companies that support you, not billionaire philanthropists that want to shape society for their own benefit. So that's it. Make sure you check us out all over the social medias. You can find us at our handle on all the major platforms at Break the Bell Pod. Share it far and wide, like I said, with your stepkids specifically, because I feel like the stepkids are being left out of this. We've always said share it with your kids and your grandkids. Yeah. We've never specified the stepkids. So make sure you share it.
Neglected majority. Make
sure you share it with the stepkids too.
Yes.
Check out our merch store at breakthebell.bigcartel.com, and you will get access to awesome shirts and awesome merch, such as the I Will Not Eat Your Bugs shirt.
That's towards you, Bill Gates.
That is towards you, Bill Gates, and towards the rich billionaires that want to eat all the steaks and make us eat the crickets.
Yes.
Join the anti-cricket brigade and buy that shirt, I Won't Eat Your Bugs, at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. We also have the We Are Not Your Pawns shirt, which goes to you too, Bill Gates. We're not your fucking pawns anymore. We have our logos on shirts and cups and all kinds of fun stuff. So check that out at breakthebell.bigcartel.com, or you can find links to all our social media and our store at breakthebellpod.com. Check it out. It's awesome. You won't be disappointed, hopefully. I think that's all I got.
I think so.
You think so? Are you ready to kick this off? You want to talk about some billionaires and their philanthropy? I can't even say philanthropy without like a Bill Gates like nasal tone. Philanthropy.
Yes.
So
let's philanthropy. Jeez, I can't even say it.
This is gonna be
all right.
Gonna be
roll credits.
This is gonna be rough. Here we go.
What did you say?
You talking to me?
What the heck are you talking about?
What did you say?
What did you say? What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What are you saying?
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Well, maybe he was talking to me.
What'd you say?
Talk to me.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Talk to me, baby.
Did you just say?
What did you say?
You listen to me. Are you talking to me?
Are you talking to me?
What the hell are you talking about?
Who are you talking to?
And just like we promised, we are back. And Bill has worked diligently on his pronunciation of the word philanthropy.
Philanthropy.
I feel like you should have spent the entire day just practicing that
I
word.
should have. I didn't realize it was going to be such a challenge.
I didn't realize it would be for you. Or I'd have picked a different topic. So that word, the P word, philanthropy, I realized as I was writing this that it's a very discriminate word. It's not a word that would ever be used amongst us commoners. Like, how many people do you know in your life, in your circle, that you could call a All right, if anybody is out there listening, I have no idea what happened. My computer took a major dump, like a scary dump,
It was really
like
scary.
a Taco Bell scary dump. Like it just like
Mexican pizza's back.
I mean, there was even like a frowny face emoji. Did you
I
see
know.
that?
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
that's
like,
what scared me because I thought it was like the death, the blue screen of death.
yes, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh, I've never had a frowny emoji on a blue screen before on my laptop. I was like, I hope this all comes back up because we might be in for some real fun. But we're here. We're back. Hopefully, as long as
it keeps up.
it's the gift. We're the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
So we're here. I feel like you had mentioned that it was Bill Gates. He heard us talking about him,
That's
and
what I
so
think.
he shit on our computer, like literally shit. At least it wasn't a literal shit. Like Bill Gates just walks in, and he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna shit right here on your computer."
Although that would be great on video.
Oh my god, well, we would be billionaires for sure if we had that footage. All right, so let's get back to what I was talking about. philanthropy, I started to say before the world just crushed on us. It's a very discriminating word. How many
Yes.
people in your circle of
Right.
influence do you
Yeah.
know that are philanthropists?
None
You
at
can't
all.
even say the word. That's
I
how
know,
little
I
you
know.
use the word in your life.
I know. I'd see somebody and be like, "Hey, you're a P word."
Yes. So it's definitely discriminating between the ultra elite and us commoners because one way or another, like obviously we don't have the kind of riches it takes to be considered a philanthropist.
Right. No,
Even if
not
you
even
gave to like Make-A-Wish Foundation or what's the big one that like donates to like everything?
Oh, the Red
United
Cross?
Way.
Oh,
United
them too.
Way. Yeah, even if you're still even if
Yeah.
you're giving like 30% of your paycheck to like United
Right.
Way or Red Cross or something, you're still not considered a philanthropist
Yeah.
because you don't have the wealth required to
Yeah.
reach that status.
Yeah. I think your name has to be like on a building or like part of a name of a charity or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you have to have your own foundation
Yeah.
named after it, which I feel like I should be able to call if I did donate to United Way, I should be able to call myself a foundation, like the Craig Smolt Foundation donating to
$5 to the United Way.
philanthropical
Yes.
outreach of the United Way. Yes.
Yes.
So
You're just showing off now.
I guess so. I don't know. Just to be able to say you're a philanthropist means you're better than us.
Yeah, right, right.
So that alone, that was just a realization I came to. So I was like, philanthropy. That's not a word I say every day, and clearly you don't say it ever because you can't say it. And then I was like, well, that's just because we're not rich enough, and that's kind of discriminatory in my opinion. So it's the whole save the world syndrome that you'd mentioned at the beginning. It's like, oh, we're so rich that we're going to use our powers for good and save the world because this is why we need billionaires in the world to save the world from the inequality.
Right. Well, I mean, what was it in Avengers when Captain America's like, to Tony Stark, what are you without your suit?
Yeah.
Genius, millionaire, philanthropist, playboy.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's part of a superpower.
Do you think Bill Gates thinks he's Tony Stark?
Yes.
You think?
I do.
Do you think?
I do. I think he has a suit he wears around the house.
Yes. What I mean, there's not too many philanthropists or billionaires out there that are like Tony Stark or Bruce Wayne, like the sexy playboy types. They're all like total nerds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're the guys that got picked on in high school, and they're like, "I'll show you. I'm gonna be a billionaire, and then I'm gonna save the world."
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they want to save the world from inequality, but it's mostly their practices that created the inequality in the first place.
Right.
Like the equality gap, like the pay gap from the top to the bottom, isn't because of the bottom. It's because of the top.
Yeah.
So it's like you're so concerned about inequality as you're sitting on freaking stacks of cash.
Yeah. And the equality you're looking for is the lower class and the lower class.
The lower class.
And you're trying to make them even while you sit up here in your castle.
Yeah. How many billionaires do you actually know besides Bill Gates that are like, I just want to be poor.
Right.
I just want, you know what? I just want to know what it's like to be poor.
Or even as like, I want everybody to be as rich as me.
Yeah. No, they don't want that because then their power would be nothing.
Yeah.
Like every time a new billionaire becomes a billionaire, that's a little less power, a little less influence that the ones at the top have, or a little less like they stand out from everybody. Like the eliteness of it.
Right.
It's like, well, it's no longer it's like when you have like a freaking comic book that's worth something. Well, for example, I was watching Big Bang Theory the other day. My kids like it. It's fine. Well, Stan Lee was supposed to be doing autographs and stuff. Well, Sheldon was like, I'm going to take a Batman comic and have him sign it. And they're like, Sheldon, he didn't write Batman. He's like, I know, but it's going to be worth so much money because I'm going to have the only copy of Batman that's signed by Stan Lee. Well, then one of his friends was like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to take a Batman comic too. He's like, what do you not understand about uniqueness?
Exactly.
And that's what billionaires are.
Yes.
It's like every time a new billionaire becomes a billionaire, they're like, that's just less eliteness that I have. So it's just like, we don't want more billionaires.
Yeah.
And you kind of hear, it's always the billionaires that are talking about, billionaires have too much money. It's like
Right.
you can solve that problem.
Right, yeah. It's like Warren Buffett complaining about, well, I don't pay any tax at all.
Yeah.
My secretary pays more tax than me. Well, there's a solution to that.
I don't think the federal government would be sad
Right.
if you just write
Wrote
a
them
check for more money.
to the IRS. I think they'd be all right with
Yeah,
that.
they're just like, here, let me pay a little extra. But
Yeah.
then that always comes with strings too. It's like, even if Warren Buffett was to turn
Oh,
around
yeah.
and write a check to the government for $1 billion, he's going to be like, well, in return for this, I need a little favor.
Yeah,
or,
right.
or can you push this in this direction a little? I mean,
Yeah.
there is no like donation at that level that doesn't come with some sort of strings. There just can't be. Like, again, it's the mindset, the mentality of these people and how they got to the point that they are tells me, I mean, it's borderline sociopath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If not complete total sociopath. That they don't do things for free. They don't give handouts at all.
No.
I mean,
yeah, there's always favors, like
Yeah.
you said. There's
Greasy.
always some strings attached.
Oh yeah. So this actually popped up today as I was thinking about.
That's odd.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
As I was thinking about philanthropists, I don't know why I thought to talk about this. I think I ran across an article about something.
That makes sense.
But this article popped up today. It says Bill Gates and Warren Buffett's initiative, the Giving Pledge that I talked about, for billionaires to donate most of their wealth sees a sharp drop in pledgers in 2022. And the economy's hitting us all.
Right.
All those there's less billionaires out there that are saying, you know what, I do want to give away my money.
Yeah, right.
I want to know. This is a really short article, but just the fact that it popped up, it piqued my interest here.
Yeah.
This is from benzinga.com, not to be confused with buzzinga.com. It's benzinga.com. So it says, Giving Pledge Foundation, started by billionaires Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, has seen pledging commitments drop steeply this year, which has been marred by geopolitical and macroeconomic uncertainties. So do you think they see the writing on the walls where the economy's going? They're like, maybe we should hold off on pledging to give away all our money. It says, what happened? Just 5 billionaires have pledged to give much of their fortunes away in 2022. Only 5 this year. So every year, I think it started back in 2010. It says 58 billionaires pledged that year.
Okay.
And only 5 this year. And part of me is like, well, I mean, aren't they running out of billionaires to pledge?
Yeah.
Well, in response to that, why isn't my screen popping up? There we go. In response to that, I looked up how many billionaires became billionaires just this year. The total is 234 new billionaires this year.
Wow.
234, and Rihanna was one of them.
What?
How did Rihanna become a billionaire?
Yeah, she hasn't even had like an album in like 5, 6
I
years.
don't know.
I don't know.
Says it was down. It was a down year for billionaires too. That's still
That's rough.
they're worth $400 billion less than a year ago. So man, billionaires are having it
They're
rough.
having a rough time.
Yes,
with it.
maybe it's because they're giving away all their money. Do you think
Right.
about that? Maybe it's not so rough for them. Says still amid war, pandemic, and sluggish markets, a total of 236 people, down from a record of 493 new billionaires in 2021. Wonder if that had anything to do with like
Stimulus.
the stimmy checks and like the consolidation of wealth during the pandemic and shit like that. Possible.
Yeah.
But only 236 billionaires this year. So, but only 5 of those committed to giving away the majority of their wealth, like Bill Gates and the great Warren Buffett. So it's a sad time. It's really hard times for billionaires these days. Says it says just 5 billionaires have pledged to give much of their fortunes away in 2022, according to information available on the foundation's website. This represented a record low total since 2010 when the foundation was set up. So first of all, the fact that you're like a billionaire and you're like, out of the goodness of my heart, I want to just contribute and give away. The fact that you have to have a website praising the fact that where the billionaires get, I mean, that's already self-serving.
Absolutely, yes.
Like the good billionaire that wants to give it away would just quietly kind of give it away.
Nobody would say anything about it.
No, I mean, people would start to wonder, why is his wealth going down? But and eventually it will hit the headlines because of tax records and shit like that. But still, we have to have a website dedicated to the goodness of the billionaires that are giving away their money.
And then I could even see a headline like, in the last year, Bill Gates quietly gave away,
Not very quiet.
Yeah.
And it was Bill Gates, authored by Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Former leading hedge fund trader Chris that's like another, that's an ad in the middle of this. Sorry. The pledgers in 2022, so the new pledgers included cryptocurrency exchange FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, mobile social gaming company Zynga founder Mark Pincus, 23andMe holding company co-founder Ann Wojcicki, a Lone Pine Capital Company portfolio manager Mala Gonkar. What are all these fucking names? And Swiss private equity firm Partners Group co-founder Urs Weitzelbach and his wife Simon. I don't know. Why is this important? Well, first of all, it's not important, but to them, Giving Pledge, founded by Gates and his former wife Melinda Gates and Warren Buffett, is an open invitation for billionaires or would-be billionaires to commit a majority of their wealth to philanthropy, either during their lifetime or in their will. So yeah, I'm not gonna donate my money while I'm living, but when I die, my kids are fucked. I'm giving it all away.
Yeah, right. So do you think that, like, if you don't commit to give like a certain amount of money, like, you're off the list? You don't get invited to like the big party at the end of the year or something like that. So it's like you want to be able to give a certain amount so that you're in the end. You're in the end. Yes.
You're the inner circle.
Right, right.
Oh, you're a billionaire. You're in the circle, but are you in the billionaire circle, the inner circle where we billionaires give away our billions? But we're going to get into the giving away of the billions because it doesn't seem as all like gratuitous as, or I don't know, like giving and generous as it sounds, because most of them give away to their own foundations.
Oh, of course.
Like Bill Gates gives all his money to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Little self-serving. It sounds a little like just shuffling your money around to like a not-for-profit type situation where you don't have to pay fucking taxes.
And I was gonna say, and plus, you get a huge tax break off of it. So
Mark Zuckerberg has his with his wife, the Zuckerberg Chang Foundation. So yeah, it's never like, I'm going to give billions of dollars to United Way. No, it's like, I set up my own foundation. I'm going to take this money and put it into this stack and say I gave away my fortune.
Even football players, like, I was reading, it's like Ben Roethlisberger with Steelers, right? He had set up a charity for money to go to families of slain police officers, but it's called the Ben Roethlisberger Foundation.
Well, first of all, they got to serve themselves. They got to put their own name on it to get credit for it, instead of just like, why don't you just give the money to the police officers? I'm sure the police officers have their own kind of benefit charity that you could just donate straight to. But when you have your name on it, that it says something about you, A, and B, you have total control on where that money goes.
Right.
It says, let's see, Gates, who's also the patron of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, no shit.
Really? I did not see that one coming.
Donated about $20 billion to the foundation in July. While announcing the same, he said he doesn't want to be rich anymore.
Bullshit.
And would return his resources to those who need the most.
Bullshit.
If he wants to return the resources to those who need it most, why is he buying up all the resources?
Yes, right?
Like the farmland and shit.
Yes.
It's like, like, I don't want to be rich anymore, but I'm going to invest in all this shit and buy all this stuff.
He's a smart guy. I mean, despite everything else he's a smart guy, right?
Yeah.
You don't think he could take that money and invest it into like poor neighborhoods to kind of drum up business and to, put it towards infrastructure, maybe put it towards the national debt? I mean, there's ways he could get away with his money if he wants to.
No, I mean he does some of that, but
not to
things that benefit himself.
I was gonna say, and not to any level of making a difference.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk joined the Giving Pledge Foundation in 2012. Incidentally, the world's second richest person, Jeff Bezos, has not been on the list of pledgers.
Fucking Bezos.
So he's He's just like, I know I'm a scumbag.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
need to
like,
pretend to
everybody
not be a
knows.
scumbag. He's like, I know I'm Dr. Evil. Who
Yeah.
fucking cares? I like being Dr. Evil.
Right.
So that's really all it says about this. I guess his ex-wife was on the list though, but not Jeff. Jeff wasn't on the list. He's like
That's probably why he divorced her. He's like, you give away how much?
you give away my fucking money, and then he
Yeah.
divorced her, and she's like, bitch, I get all your
Yeah,
money now.
I know. She's like, I'm taking half, and he's like, well, then give it to charity.
Yeah. So, what do you think of this? Is I mean, just the group of nice guys, right?
Right.
The nicest, most generous
Right.
people in the land, donating their billions and their fortune because Bill Gates doesn't want to be rich anymore.
Sure.
Wait, talk about Bill Gates not wanting to be rich anymore.
It's bullshit. I mean, he's moved on, and again, it's gotten to the point where money is just not a matter to him anymore. It's
Right.
metaphysical at that point because he has everything he needs. He's going to be rich for the rest of his life and next 7 generations of Gateses, and so he's moved on to control, saving the world, and power.
Yes.
Farmland, manufacturing bug meat. I mean, all this. He's fucking with people's lives.
Yes.
Is what he's moved on to.
Yes. He's wants to be the chess master.
Yes,
Is what he wants.
yes.
He doesn't want to be rich. He just wants to be the chess master and
Exactly.
move us little pawns around
Yes.
to his benefit. So do you know why Bill Gates got into philanthropy to begin with?
No,
Because he's a piece of shit.
well, I believe that.
Most of these people get into philanthropy
Yeah.
because they were a piece of shit and it looked really bad on their reputation. And then some PR guy comes
I'm
along
sure.
and he's like, you know what you should do?
Yeah. You should create your own foundation.
Yeah, and then maybe
It's a really nice tax shelter, but people won't look at it that way.
yeah, people will stop calling you a piece of garbage
Yeah.
and freaking human dumpster fire, and then things will start
Yeah.
looking better for you.
It's like the movie Annie, where they're like, hey, we're going to have an orphan come stay with you so it looks good.
Side note, I heard on the radio, it was an advertisement for a live rendition of Annie.
Okay.
And they're like, come see everyone's favorite orphan. I was like, that just sounds fucking weird.
I've heard that.
I want to go see my favorite orphan.
Yeah.
That's just weird.
Is it even weirder that she calls him Daddy Warbucks?
Oh, God. Anyway, moving on to the real Daddy Warbucks. Bill Gates, philanthropic giving is a racket. This one was interesting to me because it talks a little bit about why Bill Gates got into philanthropy to become the super generous guy that he is. It says Bill Gates recently resigned from the board of Microsoft. This was last year, I think, or 2020, to focus full-time on philanthropy. Now I can't say it. What the hell?
It's addictive.
It's a perfect time to remember billionaire-funded philanthropy is a public relations scam. That says it right there.
Yeah.
You don't even have to read the rest of it. It's like
Right.
it's a PR scam. That's all it is. It's just to make us look good. And that to me is like minor.
Yeah,
That's like the best this could be is a PR stunt.
absolutely.
The worst it could be is a total power mongering power grab.
Right.
It says Bill Gates recently announced he's stepping down. The trillion-dollar software colossus he co-founded to dedicate more time to philanthropic priorities, including global health and development, education, and my increasing engaging in tackling climate change. The national papers happily reported the news. In his post-Microsoft career, Mr. Gates has become better known for his work in fighting infectious disease. He doesn't fight infectious disease. He throws money at shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's like saying, God, what's his name? Magic Johnson cured his own AIDS by throwing his money at it.
If he even had AIDS.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a conspiracy all on its own. In February, the Gates Foundation said it would commit an additional $100 million to fight coronavirus. This was typical of the affectionate press treatment of Gates, who's now considered one of the better billionaires relative to Trump or the Koch brothers. This is mainly due to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the world's largest private charitable entity with billions in its endowment used for fighting AIDS. How's that working out for him?
Right.
I mean, all those billions of dollars thrown at AIDS. I mean, we definitely have a cure for
You
AIDS
would
now,
think
right?
so, yes. Yes.
Accelerating economic development. How's the economy looking these days?
Yeah, right.
And many other worthy causes. But Bill Gates and his foundation are the perfect picture of why this model of billionaire philanthropy is so flawed. Gates' foundation was originally cooked up as a feel-good gloss to cover up his shredded reputation during the Microsoft antitrust trial, putting him in the long tradition of obscenely rich people using the occasional generous gift to try justifying their enormous wealth and power.
Yep.
And this article is like going to bash on rich people and how we don't need. I don't have a problem with billionaires.
No,
I really don't.
I
I don't
don't
have a
either.
problem with rich people. I want to be a rich person someday.
Absolutely.
I have a problem with rich people that do shitty things and then throw money at it, and people like freaking suck their dicks because they're like, oh, it's the greatest person in the world. The media does it. Why do you think the media gloms on him? Where do you think he's donating some of his money to? To the fucking media.
Yep.
It's worth remembering where Gates' money came from. This is funny to me. And I talked, again, extensively on Bill Gates about a year ago. So go back and check out that episode. It's called Bill Gates Saves the World. But this talks about how he didn't invent Microsoft. He bought the rights to an early version of DOS. And then he basically revamped it and sold it to IBM and made a boatload of money. And then also turned it into Microsoft Windows and shit. So it says they modified it and sold it to IBM for its incredibly successful personal computers, leading to the stupendous growth at Microsoft as IBM and the many clone PC makers wanted the same operating system in order to attract more software developers. So they wanted one standard operating system across the board. So software developers don't have to develop something for all these different operating systems. So, I mean, he kind of struck gold.
Oh yeah.
Early on, because I mean, again, he
created the standard.
He didn't create it. He took it.
Oh yeah. He took it.
He rebranded it.
Yes, and put it out there.
Yes, and it became the standard.
He said this is the standard.
And I mean that happens early on in shit. That just happens. Somebody creates a product that's like the product. It becomes the go-to, and that there is not monopolization.
No.
That's just innovation, like being at the front of like innovation. Says it goes on to say this created network effects, which we economists will tell you is a major driver of monopolization. Gates and his tech CEO chums have used the monopolization to summon gigantic profits to tighten their grip over still growing portions of the world economy. I'm going to scroll on down. It says during his company's manic growth period, Gates emerged as a modern Gilded Age tycoon. Even sympathetic biographers refer to Gates' frequent abrasive childish rants and childlike temper tantrums. Gates' number 2 and CEO's successor, Steve Ballmer, maintained this reputation of management by yelling like an ape at employees and sometimes throwing chairs.
Wow.
These are the patterns of human behavior that are encouraged by the business world's strict hierarchy in tech, despite its reputation for in-office yoga training and green tea vending machines. It's no exception. So it's pretty cutthroat world out there. And Gates was ruthless. He was a ruthless
that's how he got where he is.
Businessman, yeah. Says Gates's charm also comes out in episodes in which he frequently slammed his hands into his fists while saying, "We've got to crush whatever rival dared to sell software in the 90s. We're going to put digital research out of business." So I mean, he crushed the competition.
Absolutely.
Like if he couldn't buy him out, he'd run him out of business, and or he'd make it so they didn't really work on his operating system or something like that. So
hardly a nice guy.
No, not even close. When new online technology came alongside of Gates's control, above all the internet browser sold by Mosaic, later Netscape, Gates inaugurated a period described in business and computing history as the browser wars. Do you remember that?
Oh yes.
Microsoft began withholding its software details from Netscape when the browser company requested it. So they're like, "Hey, give us the details of your new like updates on, so we can keep our product current with it." And they want to give them the details on the updates until after, because they weren't part of the Microsoft circle, so they didn't want the competition.
Yeah.
Apparently, Microsoft got a license from the rights holders to the original version of Mosaic and redeveloped that into Internet Explorer.
Wow.
So not only did they not invent Microsoft Windows, they just redeveloped DOS. They didn't even invent Internet Explorer. They redeveloped one of their main competitors' original software.
He's like a
browser
modern
software.
day Thomas Edison.
Yeah, pretty much. So it says the lame browser your work PC probably still defaults to. Gates and his minions feared that Netscape would soon reach a tipping point where network effects would embrace it as a standard and it would be locked in. Thus, a top Windows executive said, "I don't understand how Internet Explorer is going to win. We must leverage Windows more." It says by the time of the release of Windows 98, the company had gone further and forced PC makers to include Windows Explorer on their desktops. They went on to kind of, they tried to say that they were going to split the browser industry with Netscape. We're going to go halvesies on this, but Netscape's like, no, you're not going to do that because we know when you roll out updates, it's going to be Explorer friendly and not Netscape friendly. So Microsoft then chose to include Explorer for free on their software, which I don't know what your opinions are. Like, I thought about it. I'm like, it's his fucking company. He can release it for free. But
absolutely,
that turned into the antitrust issues because so we got an operating system company that also corners the market in the browser industry and the software industry, and it just becomes a big monopoly.
And I don't know about you. I mean, the only time I use Internet Explorer is when I'm trying to get a camera to work up on someone's.
Well, yeah, and you can't even do that anymore.
Right? Yeah, they
Explore
changed it. It's the
Explorer's
plug-in.
gone. The only time I used Explorer back in the day was to download to download Chrome on a computer because it's the first browser that pops up when you turn it on. It's like, okay, Firefox or Chrome, where are these at, or Safari or something. So yeah, you need it to download other browsers.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's the whole monopolization litigation that came, the antitrust litigation that came out against him. Apparently, during that time, though, it says the business press has observed how 20 years ago people associated the name Gates with ruthless, predatory, monopolistic conduct. However, after taking a public relation beating during the antitrust trial, early going in late 1998, the company started what was described at the time as a charm offensive aimed at improving its image. Apparently, he donated $20.3 billion in the 18 months of the trial.
Oh.
So you see how he may have influenced the outcome of that trial.
Yes. We're like, oh, this guy's not so bad.
At the end of the day, the courts did find out that his practices were monopolistic, and they were set to break up the companies. And then sometime in the Bush administration, they're like, yeah, we're just going to drop that. We're just going to let him still keep being a monopoly. They admitted that this was a monopoly, and they're like, who fucking cares? Right. Maybe there might have been some like donations going to specific politicians or specific media groups or something to maybe persuade that outcome to go in his favor. And that's the thing with these billionaires. It's like they're almost untouchable because you can, even if you're not legitimately paying off like a judge or something, your wealth is so much power to influence the people over those people that are just like, well, we don't want to lose this library that was donated to us, or Bill Gates, he's helping out Senator so and so, and so.
I mean, it's like, do you really feel like? Do you really think Trump would ever serve jail time? No, he's not. All he would do is trade some favors for something else. Right?
Absolutely.
That's it. So,
and that's all of these guys too. It says the foundation themselves. So basically, it's saying that they talk about through all their foundations philanthropy. I can't get through this entire article because it's really long, but it talks about how it rebranded his name to make him look like he's this generous guy. It says, indeed, philanthropy by the very richest men and women globally is one of the main arguments their defenders have. Sure, Gates and other billionaires make a lot of money, but then they use it to help us. So generous. And look, he's smarter than our racist TV president, but often it's a fig leaf for ruling class dominance. So it talks about how these charities don't actually do as much as it looks like they're doing, or they could be doing so much more. If they wanted to, they could be doing so much more. Because it talks about how during the Ebola outbreak in Africa back in 2016 or something, they donated $50 million, and even Melinda Gates said, no, it was Patty Stonesipher, the chief of the Gates Foundation at the time. She said, our giving is just a drop in the bucket. $50 million they gave to Ebola. It only required $600 million. The total cost was $600 million. I mean, that sounds like a lot to us.
Yeah.
Bill Gates himself could have wrote a check for $600 million and eradicated Ebola from Africa as we know it.
Yeah.
But instead, he's like, here's a check for $50 million. Here you go. I did my good deed. Now, can you name something after me?
Right.
Or, it's just like, if it was more than just putting on a good face and like a nice public persona, then if he really wanted to like fight these diseases, he has the money to completely wipe out an entire disease.
Yeah, absolutely.
$600 million. That's all. The total outbreak containment in Africa, and they gave $50 million.
And that's why not at that level, but every year the NFL has the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Right?
Yeah.
Whoever is the athlete that is most charitable or whatever else, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like so and so gave $20,000 to the illiterate children's fund, and it's like $20,000. Really? That gets his name on an award,
right.
It's just like, and same thing is here. It's like, really $50 million, you're gonna try to make that seem like it's something special.
Right, exactly. And again, it says a lot that his foundation ramped up its giving during its trial, its litigation, like antitrust litigation trial. And it's just like, just out of the generosity, you're just like, oh, maybe I am a dick. Maybe I should be more generous. No, you just spent the last 20 years being a total asshole and crushing all your competitors. That's the reason why you're here in court in the first place.
And I believe G.W. Bush was really big working against diseases in Africa. So
really,
yes.
Oh,
so I'm sure there was a little give and take with that.
Oh, I'm sure there was quite a bit of give and take.
Yeah.
Politically, financially, there's a lot of trade.
Yeah. And it's like when really rich people like of that level want to exchange cash, they don't write each other checks.
Right. Exactly.
They do it through their charitable giving foundations.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That way they can write it off on taxes too. During the episode, the Bill Gates Saved the World episode, I talked extensively about his philanthropic control over the WHO, the World Health Organization, because he donated the most amount of money to the WHO, like probably 10 times more than all the rest of them combined. The things that they focused on, the diseases that they focused on, or the direction they focused on was always Bill Gates' focus, because he single-handedly controlled the WHO, or still probably does. And it's like, well, I want to work on polio. It's like, well, we got all these diseases over here that are so much worse than polio. And it's like, but I really want to work on what is with Bill Gates and polio.
Yeah. Right.
So he just came out, I think, a week or so ago, and decided to drop another $1 billion on polio. And it's just like, is polio that bad? Or what is, there's got to be something there. Does he have a friend? Does he have a relative that had polio that this is in memory of? Or is there something here? Is he trying to create, on the other hand, maybe he's trying to create a freaking bioweapon, polio bioweapon.
Right.
I don't know. It's just weird that his sole focus is polio.
Or and maybe that's it. He wants people to focus on polio, so he's giving for it. And people are like, I didn't know this was a problem, but okay.
Yeah, and then, well, it's kind of like when he talked about how this coronavirus type thing was going to turn into things,
right?
And he talked for years about this virus coming from animals or bats or something, and then all of a sudden Bill Gates was right. It just happened.
Didn't he invest a lot in smallpox vaccines as well?
I think so. I don't know. He's probably invested in a lot of.
I'm sure.
He's invested a lot in AIDS and polio and stuff. So, he's got to be making money on.
Oh yeah.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
but I don't want to keep talking about the WHO things because I did like a whole episode on it. But
Right.
what other influences do you suppose he has? The same, similarly, like
Yeah. Well, I mean,
the entire
education.
world health,
Yeah.
he has control of
Yeah.
because he donates money.
Right.
Imagine everything else
Yeah.
he's donating.
And
money.
yeah, and I think the Bill and Melinda Gates is like the greatest like giver to the WHO in the world.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have the control,
Yeah.
the controlling interest, I guess
Yeah,
you could say.
it's like them and China right at the top.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary when you think about that.
It's the philanthropy business. It's literally a business in
Yeah.
its own right. But another thing he has a lot of influence on is global media. I did not know how much he invests in media companies. And if your goal is to like bring equality, why are you donating to like billionaire media corporations? Like
yeah.
CNN is one. NPR, well, they're publicly funded, so I understand NPR, but
Right.
CNN is a private company.
Yeah.
It says he's made over $300 million worth of donations to fund media projects at NBC, CNN, NPR, The Atlantic, and PBS, and like lots more.
Yeah.
Like the list that I saw earlier today was really extensive. Why do you suppose he's investing in all these media companies?
Good press. Direct press the way he wants. I mean, if
Yeah.
he's got money invested in the World Health Organization, he wants to play up the COVID threat, right?
Yeah, right,
I mean,
exactly.
which, as we see, CNN is like the #1 sponsor of COVID.
It's true, and MSNBC.
Right.
And he's donating to all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you can completely direct.
Oh yeah.
If you got control of the media, you got control of everyone.
Let's get 60% more screen time on COVID and the vaccines, guys.
Yeah. Again, it's like, well, we gotta help the poor and needy, so I'm gonna donate millions to CNN. It's like, CNN.
Yeah, right.
CNN.
Right. That doesn't really help millions.
But it helps
poor people.
me.
Right.
It helps
exactly.
me get my name out there
Yeah.
and look better.
Yeah.
In the very least, it makes them look better. And CNN will never.
I don't watch CNN, but do they come out and be like, "This news presentation is brought to you by the Bill Gates Foundation"?
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Probably. They probably do.
Maybe
at
they
some
come
point.
out with like Bill Gates like patches on their
Yes,
shirt.
his face.
Yeah. That's scary.
I have Bill Gates close to my heart. Yeah, it's just like CNN, they're never going to write a derogatory story against Bill Gates,
No.
nor NPR or MSNBC, or I guess MSNBC is not on this list, but NBC is, which is
But
parent
MSNBC
company.
is on his job.
That's the parent company,
Yeah.
though, right?
Right.
So, yeah, never going to have bad press. And when you have something like maybe vested interest in like a stabby jabby, you get these media companies to promote, save the world, get the stabby jabby, and then who makes bank off of that? Somebody that would be heavily invested in said stabby jabby.
Yeah.
So, I mean, regardless of whether his intentions are to make profit, which I know they are, he's making profit by having them push the things that he invests in. Or the social programs that he wants to participate in, then you get the media involved in that, and then they start pushing this as a big thing. Yeah. So, I mean, you can push whatever agenda you want.
And I mean, we know Bill Gates is a big proponent of AI.
Yeah.
And we know that he and his foundations donate a lot of money to education because they want to data mine the students.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they can,
as well as make them mindless drones. And
absolutely, right.
So,
yeah.
There's so much more to that than just data mining students.
It's like, oh wow, look how much he gives to schools and education. He really cares about.
Yeah, no, he just wants control over the kids' education.
Yeah.
Let's move away from Bill Gates because he's not the only philanthropical asshole here. We got the robot, the Mark Zuckerberg AI.
Yes.
This article is titled "The Trouble with Charitable Billionaires," and at the surface level, you'd think, how could there possibly be trouble with charitable billionaires? Isn't that what we want billionaires to be?
Yeah.
Is to be charitable, to be good stewards of their money and give back?
Yeah.
The problem is that's not how it works. And the problem is, like this one gets into, a lot of times the problems they're trying to fix are problems they created in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just like, hey, we created this equality gap, but we're going to give a little money back to like help the inequality gap. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
So you're taking up all the wealth, like consolidating the wealth and throwing a little back and be like, we're helping the inequality gap. It's just like, how about you just don't consolidate the wealth?
Right.
Wouldn't that be easier? You would think
Easier, but not
as effective for them.
exactly.
It said, this is Mark Zuckerberg. It says in February 2017, Facebook's founder and CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, was in the headlines for charitable activities. The Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, wow, his wife got first
Oh wow,
on this one.
This is hers.
Founded by tech billionaire and his wife, Priscilla Chan, handed out $3 million in grants to aid the housing crisis
$3
in
million for
Silicon
housing?
Valley.
Wow.
How much do
What
you
a
think?
guy.
How much do you think a house in Silicon Valley costs?
$6 million.
I think that the average house in that area is $2 million.
Oh, probably.
So you paid for
Let's see.
1.5 house. No, I think it says it on down in the.
Oh, does it?
Of
Okay.
course, I'm gonna have to register to.
Oh, of course.
To read.
Of course. Let's see here.
Even though I didn't have to before. But yeah, I think on down it says it. It's like, what exactly are you doing by donating $3 million to a housing crisis, to the housing gap? Like, what's the point there? Hang on, let me register for this so I can read for free.
The average home price now tops $1 million in 85% of the Silicon Valley's neighborhoods.
Yeah, I think it's like probably about 2 million according to this. So hold tight while I register for this.
This was
a good article.
yeah, and this was about 8 months ago. So
yeah, okay, so it's probably like tripled since.
Yeah, right.
You know how the housing crisis is going. All right, give me just a second. What the hell is all this shit? All right, there it is. Complete your Guardian account. Oh dear God. This is not what I wanted to do. First, we have a crash of our systems, and then we have this. All right, hold tight.
Okay.
Talk while
Okay.
I try to make this work.
Yeah. So, in any case, I mean, it's not gonna be anywhere close to helping 10 people,
right?
A dozen people. I mean,
Right.
it's such a Band-Aid, you know, and it really
That's
is
all
just
it is.
it's just an empty gesture.
I mean, I thought the $60 million by the Gates Foundation to fight Ebola was bad, but $3 million to aid a housing crisis in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Says the initiative's president of policy and advocacy stated that the grants were intended to support those working to help families in immediate crisis while supporting research into new ideas to find long-term solutions. So we're not even like giving the money to the poor people. We're giving it to the people that are coming up with ideas.
Is Silicon Valley like the center of poverty in the world, in California?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's like, well, there's poor, needy people in Silicon Valley.
Well, the problem is
they can't even afford their own jet.
Companies like Zuckerberg's moved into Silicon Valley, moved into the Bay Area and stuff. And then what happened? The prices all went through the roof.
Absolutely, yeah.
And even their like tech people that make like 6 figures, according to this article, can barely afford to live there because the prices have skyrocketed because the tech companies are there.
Yeah.
And they're like, also those people like to invest their money in things. They start investing in real estate. They start like changing the real estate landscape and make the value go up even more.
Silicon Valley used to be it's a desert.
But again, the fact that they're giving a mere $3 million in grants, not to the poor people, but to the people that are coming up with the ideas of how to fix the poor people.
The poor Smiths that moved into Silicon Valley, they can't afford to come to our pool party.
It says the grants intended to support those working to help families in immediate crisis. So support the people working. So what if Zuckerberg was like, you know, I'm helping support the research into new ideas, so I'm going to donate money to myself. I mean, like, who does that go to? Is it like some of your staff that are coming up with these ideas? Because there's nothing there. That goes nowhere.
Yeah.
And how's that working out? Have they come up with any good ideas lately? So it says this is one small part of Zuckerberg's charity empire. The initiative has committed billions of dollars to philanthropic projects designed to address social problems with a special focus on solutions driven by science, medical research, and education. This all took off in December of 2015 when Zuckerberg and Chan wrote and published a letter to their baby Max.
Oh, jeez.
The letter made a commitment that over the course of their lives, they would donate 99% of their shares in Facebook, at that time valued at $45 billion, to the mission of advancing human potential and promoting equality. So they pledged to their son Max, or daughter, I don't know, their baby Max, to donate 99% of the shares, their shares, to advance human potential and promote equality. So do you think they're giving that 99% to, like, directly to charities?
No.
No, they're giving it to their own charity.
Who will then decide how they're going to farm that out.
This is the best part. Let me get down. So it says the wording of his 2015 letter could easily have been interpreted as meaning he intended to donate $45 billion to charity. As investigative reporter Jesse Eisinger reported at the time, the Chan Zuckerberg initiative, through which his giving was to be funneled, is not a not-for-profit charitable foundation, but it's a limited liability company.
Oh, wow.
So he can make money off his charitable giving to his own company. He can profit off of his. He's gonna. I promise to give my billions to this charity that I can profit off.
99% of our profits.
Again, it's like shifting your money to another pocket that actually you don't have to pay taxes on, and you can profit from.
Exactly.
Says this legal status has significant practical implications, especially when it comes to tax. As a company, the initiative can do much more than charitable activity. Its legal status gives it the rights to invest in other companies and to make political donations. Yeah. So working towards like poverty and equality by donating to
the politician who promises to take care of poverty and equality.
Do you want to know how much money Mr. Zuckerberg has donated to political campaigning?
Absolutely.
As of recently? Mark Zuckerberg has handed out some $420 million to mostly leftist election officials to recruit votes from areas that favored Democrats in the 2020 presidential race.
Yeah.
This part's the telling part. This guy that wrote this says, the 2020 election was not stolen. It was likely bought by one of the world's wealthiest and most powerful men pouring his money through legal loopholes.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, we're going to give our money away to charity, but we're actually giving it away, charitable donations to the politicians that we know are going to grease our spokes,
right? Yep.
And make
keep our business profitable.
Yeah, make things more lucrative for us, and make things go the direction that we want it to go, and maybe like push some other media, like social media platforms out, like Parler and shit like that.
Right.
You know how it went.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's the Zuckerberg the Chan Zuckerberg initiative.
Yes.
How much did I say? $420 million to leftist election officials.
People that will put the screws down and censor companies like Parler.
Does that count as their 99% of their shares going towards poverty and inequality? Or is that part of that? Like, how does that work?
No, it probably is.
It's got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nancy Pelosi cares about poverty, so we'll give her money. And then she'll take the money and she'll probably invest it back into Facebook or whatever else.
Well, obviously. Is there anything else on this first one? I don't think so, because it gets back into like Bill Gates and things like that too. Basically saying how billionaires charity isn't actually charity. It's like self-serving, completely 100% self-serving. And for you to like give them the credit by saying, he's such a great man because he gives away millions and billions of dollars. I think it's insulting that he gave $3 million to the housing crisis.
Yeah,
that's like,
no,
I mean, that's like, he could probably found a $3 million bill in his left shoe,
right?
And was just like, oh, this is gross. Here, give that to the poor.
Put that towards the house, people.
Here, peasant, take that. Give this to the poor and needy. It's like freaking Scrooge.
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge.
Well, and again, like you said, I mean, it's a drop in the bucket. He finds that underneath his couch cushion, and he's like, just give this to. It'll help with poverty or something.
This goes on, it says, the very notion of corporate social responsibility, or CSR, has been criticized for providing companies with a moral cover to act in quite exploitative and socially damaging ways. Like, we know how socially damaging Facebook and Instagram has been, and yeah, we can just cover up all the shitty things I do by throwing money at it.
Yeah.
But in the current era, social responsibility, when portrayed as an individual character trait of a chief executive, has allowed corporations to be run as irresponsibly as ever. CEOs' very public engagement in philanthrocapitalism, try saying that one, can be understood as key component of the reputation management. It is part of marketing of the firm itself, as the good deeds of its leaders come to signify the overall goodness of the corporation. And that's not even just true with like charitable giving. That comes down to like when a company comes out on a like social moral issue, like the whole like Nike and Colin Kaepernick thing. Yeah. Nike didn't give two shits about whether black people kneeled or anything like that. They knew that if they did that, they knew it was a risk that some people are going to be pissed, but they knew by taking a social moral stand, like the moral social high ground, that they're going to rake in the profit from this. Yeah. I mean, some people are going to burn Nike shoes, but guess what? They had to buy those Nike shoes to burn them to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
So they made money regardless there. Yeah. But then other people on the other side are like, oh, these guys have the moral high ground. This is such a as they're having child slave labor in China make their shoes. They're taking the moral high ground by
making the shoes for a quarter an hour, and then someone's buying them for $200 and then burning it.
Yes. It says, ironically, philanthrocapitalism also grants corporations the moral right, at least within the public consensus, to be socially irresponsible. The trumpeting of CEOs' personal generosity can grant an implicit right for the corporation to act ruthlessly and with little consideration for the broader social effect of their activities, i.e., child slave labor in China.
Right.
This reflects a productive tension at the heart of modern CSR. The more moral a CEO is, the more immoral their company can, in theory, seek to be.
That's quite the balance.
Right? I mean, well, it's kind of like what is it? The carbon credit system. It's like, well, I can burn as much carbon as I want as long as I spend money on non-carbon burning things. Like I can balance that out. Yes, I'm destroying the atmosphere, but I'm also throwing money at better climate things, so it balances out the whole carbon credit system.
I can fly my plane all over the world as long as I can get everybody else to have to eat mealworms.
Yes, exactly. The whole carbon credit system. So it's, I mean, blatant hypocrisy at least.
Absolutely.
Especially knowing that a lot of the things that they're supposedly throwing money at, like the housing crisis, were directly because of you.
Right.
It's like, how can you say, look at this great thing I did? It's like kind of like Joe Biden saying, I fixed the economy.
Right.
Gas prices have gone down. Well, that's because gas prices like skyrocketed before you brought it down like 5 cents. Thank you very much.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So I don't know what you think so far.
Yeah, it's blatant. It's so irritating.
It's self-serving.
Well, it is. But the fact that they feel like they can tout that is like, this is my good deed. Yes. When they're doing more harm than good.
Oh yeah, but they're balancing out the harm with the good, supposedly, with $3 million.
I was gonna say, and to think that amount of money is, which again is probably like 0.01% of what they have.
Probably much less than
that. Probably, yes. I'm being generous. But
it's about time to get into break. I do want to get into more of the gaining social capital. Like we talked about, kind of putting the Band-Aid on your shitty behavior with like Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg being like, how we could look better is if we just gave away a little bit of money, then people won't think we're the bad guy. But I want to get into more of like the power grab, like the profiting. When money no longer is an issue, what becomes profit? Like power, control, or social status becomes profit to you. So it's an easy trade for a multi-billionaire to give up a few $1 billion to get this prominence.
And I'm sure we're going to get to this part, but it goes along with the big move you see with the social environmental,
Mhm.
economic credits, right?
Oh yeah,
Where I'm sure
that's all self-serving.
well, it is, but they feel like they do it on a much larger level, which than you or I will ever do.
Well, they
right?
burn carbon on a much higher level.
Well, yeah,
They're the ones
right.
responsible for like 98% of the
Yeah.
pollution, and yet they're the ones that are like pushing the hardest. Guys, we got to drop the pollution down. It's like it's
Yeah.
the same as like this whole Zuckerberg thing. It's like
Yeah.
you're the one creating
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
pollution.
You just took a 12-car convoy, up to the city.
Yeah, you fly a jet
Yeah,
to go out to eat. What?
right, and then back again that night.
Yeah,
oh, we're
right.
gonna go grab some baguettes over in France and then come back.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but then they're all like this climate concern where
Yeah.
we all got to eat bugs
Right,
because
right.
we're
to
killing.
balance that out.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to get into break. We're going to take a few minutes, recollect ourselves, and hopefully the computer doesn't crash again. And when we come back, we're going to get more into this and talk about like power grabbing and like social capital and social, political, I don't know, political capital.
Okay.
So we'll be right back. Give us just a couple minutes, and we'll continue on. Goodbye.
Have you ever thought that maybe voting, maybe all this politics constantly surrounding you is not the way to achieve freedom in your life? Hi, I'm Remso W. Martinez, and I ask myself the same question. That's why I'm on a journey to find true freedom in my lifetime. From learning about financial independence, to new ways to develop rugged individualism, to amazing guests living strange, crazy, amazing lifestyles that you've only thought might be real, but actually are. Go ahead and check out my new show, On the Run with Remso W. Martinez at the We Are Libertarians Network. You can find On the Run with Remso W. Martinez on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. You know how the internet works. Come on down and let's discover how to achieve real freedom in your life together.
Hey everybody, I just want to take this time to give a big shout out to the very first sponsor of the Break the Bell podcast. That is Goulash Media. They can be found at goulashmedia.net. Goulash Media specializes in graphic design, web design, audio recordings, video work, wedding videos, music videos, even political campaign videos. Goulash Media caters to the little guy with the big vision. You can check them out at goulashmedia.net. That's GOULASH media.net.
Got this.
Yeah. Called the Good Club.
Yeah. You'll like that one. Threw that in at the last minute, and I'm like, that'd be a good one to
Come back to.
Come back. Hi. Company?
Yes.
You can fall asleep?
No. Well, maybe.
We lost our one viewer.
They always check in right before break.
All right, we are back. Bill, what are we talking about today?
Philanthropist.
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 Philanthropy and philanthropist.
Yes.
Pissing away their money.
Yes. For
good causes.
For their good name.
Nobility, noble causes.
No.
Is that what this is?
No, not at all.
No, you don't think so?
No. It's always a game.
Do you think so?
Absolutely.
I got
And
this.
I don't think that's a cynic in me speaking. I think that's backed up.
I think that's just reality in general.
Is.
It's not
It is.
cynical. Yeah. Do you think it's possible for somebody like ruthless Bill Gates, which I don't even see how that guy was ever ruthless.
No.
He's
But he strikes
dork.
me as and he strikes me the type that has no social grace,
Hmm.
right? Like he gives like 50 million people or dollars to an orphanage, and the girl comes up, gives him a hug, and they get pictures, and he's just like, what am I supposed to do? Right?
Yeah.
Like, thank you, Mr. Gates, and he's like, yeah, okay.
It's just what I do.
Right.
I do this for me, not for you, kid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably more likely.
Somebody get this thing off me.
So let me get rid of the music because I got this article here. This is from 2009, actually, but it's very interesting. You ever heard of the Good Club?
No.
How have you not heard of the Good Club?
I don't know. It sounds like a horror movie or something, like Joy Luck Club or Traveling Pants of the Ya-Ya Sisterhood.
Yes. They're called the Good Club, and they want to save the world. That's how this starts.
Okay.
It says, it is the most elite club in the world. Ordinary people need not apply. So again, that's how you know it's great.
Yeah, right.
What I was talking about earlier, how it's very, it's like us commoners don't really apply. It's very, what did I call it?
Very elite, very
discriminatory.
Yeah,
that's
very
what I said.
discriminatory.
Yeah, and so yeah, you don't need to apply to this because
Yeah.
you can't save the world
Right.
because you're
Yeah.
poor.
If you're not a billionaire, there's no reason for you to even come this way. Don't even look over here.
It says, indeed, there is no way to ask to join. You simply have to be very, very, very rich and very, very generous, quote unquote, generous on a global scale. This is the Good Club, the name given to the tiny global elite. Who named that? Like, these are supposed to be like the most creative
I know.
minds.
Well,
in
what should we
history.
call it? Well, it's good, so
Yeah.
let's call it the Good Club.
Genius. It's
Yes.
genius. I never would. That's why we're so rich, right? Because we have ideas like that.
Exactly.
Says, this is the Good Club, the name given to the tiny global elite of billionaire philanthropists who recently held their first and highly secretive meeting in the heart of New York City. First of all, when you are supposedly out set doing good, why are you having highly secretive meetings about it?
Right, yeah. Wouldn't you kind of do it in the open,
I mean,
like
I did say
Starbucks or something?
I did say we don't need to like brag about it and put a
Right.
website up saying
Yeah.
how we're giving away all our wealth. But on the opposite side, when you're like, shh, don't tell anybody about our
We're doing
philanthropic
good
ideas.
stuff here.
Yeah, secretive good ideas.
Whoever finds out about it, we have to kill.
Absolutely. Says the names of some of the members are familiar figures, including Bill Gates, George Soros, Warren Buffett, Oprah Winfrey, David
Ugh.
Rockefeller, and Ted Turner. All the greats.
That sounds like the circle of evil.
It's the who's who of evil empire. Says, but there are others too, like business giants Eli and Edith Broad, who are equally wealthy but less well known. All told, its members are worth $125 billion back in 2009.
I was going to say, that seems pretty light.
Yeah. Well, today's it's probably like 250 billion or something. I don't know. Says the meeting called by Gates, Buffett, and Rockefeller. Again, Gates and Buffett are the two in charge of this thing. Was held in response to the global economic downturn and the numerous health and environmental crises that are plaguing the globe. It was in some ways a summit to save the world. No wonder that when the news of the secret meeting leaked, it sent shockwaves through the worlds of philanthropy, development aid, and even diplomacy. It is really unprecedented. It is the first time a group of donors of this level of wealth has met like that behind closed doors in what is, in essence, a billionaires club.
From what you know.
Yeah. The existence of the Good Club has struck many as a two-edged sword. On one hand, they represent a new golden age of philanthropy, harking back to the early 20th century when the likes of Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, and Carnegie became famous for their good works. Why did those three become famous for their good works? Because they were such shitty humans that they pulled a Bill Gates, and they were like the original, the OG philanthropists, because they were like, their PR guy was like, guys, people don't like you very much.
And most of these shitty NGO shadowy groups that we talk about comes back to those three families.
Yes. Everything comes back to those three families. It says, yet the reach and power of the Good Club are truly new. Its members control vast wealth, and with that wealth comes huge power that could reshape nations according to their will.
Yes, yes.
That's the scary part. It's not, I'm not so concerned necessarily that they're trying to put, I mean, every company has a PR guy. That every like corporation has a PR firm or something that's making their shitty things look better.
Right.
Something comes up in the news that they had some chemical leak or something. They got a PR guy trying to shift the narrative so it looks less shitty. So I'm not as concerned about what we talked about in the first half. Yes, it's hypocritical and it's shitty to make it portray that you are such a giver and a generous person when in reality you're just trying to save face and look better. But I'm more concerned about them having so much money and power and then them coming together and combining that power to reshape nations according to their will.
Yes, that's some scary shit.
Yes. It says few doubt the good intention of Gates and Winfrey and their few doubt the good intentions. Who I must be one of the few because I doubt their good intentions of Gates and Winfrey and their kind. They have already improved the lives of millions of poor people across the developing world. But can the richest people on earth actually save the planet? The president's house of Rockefeller University is on Upper East Side of Manhattan, the university's private campus. full of lush green trees, lies behind guarded entrances and a metal fence. It overlooks the East River, only a few blocks away from the United Nations. It was here at 3 p.m. on May 5th, back in 2009, that the Good Club gathered. The university's chancellor, Sir Paul Nurse, was out of town, but the request of David Rockefeller had hallowed the club to meet at his plush official residence. The president's house is frequently used for university events, but rarely can it have played host to such a powerful conclave. The fact that they pulled this off, meeting in the middle of New York City, is just absolutely amazing.
Is it? Is it?
For 6 hours, the assembled billionaires discussed the crises facing the world. Each was allowed to speak for about 15 minutes. The topics focused on education, emergency relief, government reform, the expected depth of the economic crisis, and global health issues such as overpopulation and disease.
Wow.
They're hitting all the hot topics.
Right?
One of the themes was new ways to get ordinary people to donate small amounts to global issues. That's like, why don't all you fuckers just donate large amounts, and then the rest of us don't have to donate small amounts?
You know, I'm really irritated that more people don't donate. Like, we have to do it all.
Sources say Gates was the most impressive speaker, while Turner was the most outspoken. He tried to dominate, which I think annoyed some of the others. Well, it's a bunch of billionaires that have had it their way forever. You get them all in one spot. Can you imagine the dick swinging contest?
Yes.
Then Oprah whips out her big old dick and
slapping them up the side of the face.
Yes. Winfrey, meanwhile, was said to have been in a contemplative listening mood. Maybe she wasn't swinging her dick, I guess. That the group should have met at all is indicative of the radical ways in which philanthropy has changed over the past 2 decades. The main force behind the change is Gates and his decision to donate almost all of his fortune to bettering the world. Unlike the great philanthropists of former ages, Gates is young enough and active enough to take full hands-on role in his philanthropy and craft it in his own ideas, and that's a problem. They're saying like that's a good thing. He's young enough; he can make this do it himself.
He's very hands-on. He'll get in there and get his hands dirty.
Yeah, or he'll shape it the way he wants it to, so it'll most benefit him. Says that example has been followed by others, most notably Soros, Turner, and Buffett. Indeed, this new form of philanthropy, where retired elite businessmen try to change the world, has even been dubbed Philanthropy. Philanthropy.
Oh, God.
There you go. I'm going to start calling it philanthropy now. Another description is philanthropo-capitalism. Yet the implication of the development of philanthropo-capitalism are profound. It was fitting that the Good Club was meeting near the UN. The club members' extreme wealth makes it as powerful as some of the nations with seats inside the August chamber. Yeah, they probably have more money than most of the people that are part of the UN. Proponents of philanthrocapitalism would argue that they are also more effective in doing good for ordinary people by asking the ordinary people to donate
give more.
To good cause. Yeah. Indeed, the club members had given away about $70 billion in the past 12 years. That is far beyond what many individual countries can afford to do with their own social policies and aid budgets. Wow. That's condescending.
Yeah.
They have assets that rival the social spending budgets of many countries.
Yeah. Again, that's not necessarily a good thing.
Soros Foundation has done valuable work setting up democratic institutions and independent media across the former Soviet bloc. These titans of philanthropy have also started a trend among slightly less wealthy. While Gates and Soros' efforts best ridge the world, major philanthropists have emerged in specific regions like India or Latin America, funding their own pet ideas and projects.
Yeah, not a good thing.
No. This guy recently, Gail Peterson, co-founder of Headwaters Group Philanthropic Services, recently gave advice to a businessman who wanted to set up a foundation to give away $280 million annually in Southeast Asia. He told us, "I want to be just like Bill Gates."
Oh, God.
So what do you think? Because it gets into the downside. What do you think the downside is?
Well, again, like we said, it's their personal pet projects, right? It's forming things in their image, right? I mean, that's a God complex.
I mean, you're talking like 9 God complexes in one room.
Right, all in one.
Yeah. I mean, like, super god complex.
Right. And we already know, again, Rockefeller's name is associated with a lot of different organizations and stuff, and so when you throw these other people in there, we know what Soros has done.
Right.
So I mean, it's just, and now you got 9 other people. I mean, it's scary.
Says there is a potential downside of the growth of these Uber donors, especially if the whims of individuals start to take precedence over the expertise of professionals. Like I said with the WHO, how is it that Bill Gates is all of a sudden like a medical genius?
Yeah, right.
Is it because of all his medical training, or because of billions of dollars he's thrown into the medical field?
Yeah.
If he is the voice of what happens in the medical industry, we have big fucking problems, because he's not even a computer genius from what it sounds. He's a scam artist.
Yeah.
He's smart.
He just gets people and he's like, hey, I just bought this, make it better.
Yeah, pretty much. He's good at putting teams together.
Right.
The strange truth is that giving away billions of dollars is difficult and fraught with risk. There can be waste, mismanagement, and poor investment. At the same time, it can actually do harm. If you are putting enormous amounts of money into a community that can't cope with it, then you can implode that community.
And that's what that reminds me of, right? Do you remember the episode of Community where Annie was directing the play and Pierce wanted to have more lines so he could be cooler than Jeff, so he was giving money to Annie to pay her rent so he could direct the way the play was going?
Yes.
Right?
That's a really good example. I like that. Others are even more outspoken of the growing dominance of a tiny handful of billionaires. The problem with any good club is that all the people might not be good, or at least not good in universal definitions, says Luis Uwaka, the Rwanda-born founder of the Canadian education charity Positivision.
Wow, that just blew my mind.
Yeah. There's also the issue of accountability. Even the most repressive of national governments is on some level beholden to its own people, or has the capacity to change and reform under popular pressure. But who votes for the good club? And that's a big thing about, we talked about NGOs. It's like, who are they accountable to?
Right. Yeah.
Because out in the open government entities, they're accountable to the people. We can tell you it's to some level, no, this doesn't work. That's got to go.
Freedom of Information Act will get you most of the documents. But if it's an NGO, none of that stuff is included.
And you don't really have any control over what they do.
Yeah.
So are we being too skeptical of these people and their greatness?
No.
Because this one talks about, and this is exactly the problem I have. Elite philanthropy benefits one group disproportionately, and it's not you.
Yeah, well, I believe that.
Who do you think the group is that the elite philanthropy benefits most?
The elite philanthropist.
that word there.
Yes.
So it gets into the self-serving nature of philanthropy, of elite. Do you even have to say elite philanthropy? Again, is there unelite philanthropy? There's only elite philanthropy.
Absolutely.
It says in general, this is an article from Medium, so it's just like a private journalist. So it talks about the rich and powerful mainly donate to causes and foundations that can provide themselves with benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that says it all.
Think about it this way, because they talk about how they can drive policies through donations.
Mm-hmm.
They can, because it says, for example, it was found that 12 of the wealthiest billionaires in America have given money to or founded policy-oriented organizations that seek to abolish the estate tax. So they give money to foundations that push for the abolishment of estate tax. Who benefits most from that? Is it just poor people?
No.
Or is it people that own the most estate, like Bill Gates?
Right.
It says, furthermore, because these wealthy individuals and corporations are often more preoccupied with getting attention, the aid they bring might be improperly executed, creating a situation where things become worse after their intervention.
Yeah.
Because it talks about, you remember that Burger King ad where Burger King came out and tried to combat gender inequality, and they're like, their slogan was, women belong in the kitchen, because they're trying to push women to go to culinary school.
Right.
And they pushed $25,000 in scholarships to culinary school, but they spent $65,000 on the marketing for this. And in turn, it backfired because women did not like that ad very much. So,
Right.
but that's just a very small example of how it might not really bring the results they want, or it turns things worse than what it should be. But talking about okay, this is the part here that I was really interested in. Elite philanthropy gives elitist power they should never have.
Yeah.
Like Bill Gates in medical research.
Yeah. Right.
By converting some of their economic capital for social and cultural capital, elite philanthropy enables the wealthy to exact their influence on issues they would not normally have a say in, like epidemic response, like I don't know, the food industry,
educational programs,
education, the medical research, or like the pharmaceutical industry and things like that. Empowering the rich with the ability to steer social and political discussions. The social capital gained by them can also help grant them a better social standing. In effect, the wealthy can buy themselves into circles where important politicians and decision makers are, increasing the wealthy individual's influence in the public sphere.
Yeah.
It's like what I was saying early on. It's like at some point, money is like the profit is there, but it doesn't mean it's meaningless at this point.
Right.
To a billionaire.
Yeah.
It's like, so what are they profiting on? They profit on social status, and social status turns into power, and power turns into more power. And so it's a fair trade to get rid of a couple $1 billion. It sounds like a ton of money, but I mean, once you hit $1 billion, do you need the other $200 billion? Really?
Right.
In reality, do you need any of that money?
Right.
With $1 billion, you're set for life, and your kids are set for life already. So it's just like the rest of it is just I can buy power with the rest of this money.
I'll buy farmland, right?
Like,
I'll buy people.
Take, for example, here's an example of how out of hand this can get and how influential this can get really quick. Take like a tech billionaire of some sort. We're not even going to name names. Any one of the tech billionaires comes up with an idea for an electric car.
Okay.
Or his minions come up with an idea, and he wants to push his company's electric vehicle sales. So on one hand, he pumps money into politicians that support like the green agenda, and you can start telling politicians, hey, we got to fight climate change, and the politicians like AOC are coming out like, hey, we got to be more sustainable and come up with these new innovative green ideas. And then on the other side, you can, like Bill Gates, purchase media, like donate to the media, and the media starts saying how bad like oil vehicles are and petroleum is, and starts bashing on the oil industry. And then you can pump more money into like the researchers of the green agenda. And then at the end of the day, Congress passes a law that says Americans have to buy electric cars. Who profits at the end of the day?
Right.
The guy that pushed all those, like threw all this philanthropic money at this thing.
Yeah.
It's all like insider trading on a massive scale.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's not like, hey, I knew this was coming. It was like, hey, I'm going to force this to come because I am rich enough to force the policies to work in my favor, so I profit off of this thing.
Right.
So I mean that's a pretty small example.
Yeah,
too.
And on a larger, scarier, when you have somebody who is a massive donor of, say, the WHO, which is the Worldwide Organization for Health, who is also a big proponent of population control. I mean, there's some conflict of interest there.
Maybe, but we can help with overpopulation by more vaccines.
Right.
So we're good there. We're good there.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. We'll be fine. This goes on. It says the amounts these philanthropists donate are extremely large. The organizations are more likely to accept any precondition that the wealthy have. By attaching strings to their donation, the wealthy are even better able to direct the foundations and charities to carry out the agendas they believe in. Like I was talking about the WHO. It's like the more money Bill Gates throws, the more polio research can be done, or AIDS research, instead of focusing on.
Right, yeah.
And from what I have read, polio is like the least worry of like a developing country.
Yeah.
Polio is more like a concern of a first world country that doesn't have all these other diseases that'll kill them. it's like, oh, polio, that sounds really bad. And then you go to Africa and they're like, we'll take polio over Ebola
Yeah,
any day
right.
of the week.
Well, but
It's like, please give us your polio.
but it's like donating $3 million to Silicon Valley housing. You know, I
Yes.
mean, it's just like, okay, well, you're donating to something. I guess that's kind of good, but it's something that isn't really needed.
Mm-mm. So it's increasingly philanthropists are the ones designing and planning social change programs. So again, they're not the experts
Right.
in like social
Yeah.
development or like the social world, like these welfare type programs. They're obviously not the experts on a welfare system because they've never had to deal with a poor person in their life, but they are the ones that can say where the money goes and how it's spent and how we can I mean, think about that on any agenda driven idea, like the Great Reset, for example. Any economic movement can be driven by a handful of people that say, no, this is the way we want the world to go. So we throw the billions into all these different things, the media, all the like medical, the education systems, and they just steer it.
Yeah.
Like a giant fucking ship. So I don't know.
That's scary.
Yeah. The implications are enormous, and like the actual help they give is so minuscule compared to the problem, but it's enough that they can drive the results without actually fixing the fucking problem. It's like, how many poor people could Bill Gates alone like alleviate from poverty if he just gave it straight to a poor person instead of like funneling it through some freaking foundation? It makes you wonder how many of those foundations are just like money laundering schemes to begin with.
And that's a big part of what I think it is.
Because they're not accountable to anything.
No.
So how much of it could, because you saw like the Chan Zuckerberg initiative. I mean, they can donate to politicians or to they can just invest in other companies and make money from those other companies and somehow call that charity.
Yes,
like
exactly.
How is investing in a corporation charity?
Yeah. Well,
like,
it's a corporation that focuses on helping poor people. So
yeah, exactly. This isn't anything new, though. It's not like this is a new philosophy, because we kind of briefly mentioned like the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and the Morgans and the Morgan Freemans and the not the Morgan Freemans. He is not a robber baron. I will never believe that.
No.
Anyways, this is kind of, we're getting close to the end, so I wanted to just talk about like where this came from a little bit, this whole philanthropy idea, because it came directly from the robber barons. And so to say people are like, well, they're kind of like the modern day robber barons. Sometimes they're not kind of like, they are the modern day robber barons. Says this talks about robber baron philanthropists. Now I can't fucking say it. Well, it doesn't help that it's philanthropy and philanthropist and philanthropical. It's like we got to change it every time we say it.
Philancapitalist.
Yes, philanthrocapitalism. I can say that, but I can't say philanthropist for some reason. Do robber barons become benevolent philanthropists, or do they continue the same devious methods of control under a better PR strategy? What do you think?
I believe that's it exactly.
It was used to describe people like Andrew Carnegie. I read it's Carnegie, not Carnegie.
Really, it's Carnegie?
Yeah, because he's Scottish and it's pronounced Carnegie. I learned that today. Yes.
Carnegie.
John D. Rockefeller, Cornelius Vanderbilt, and plenty of others. That these people would lie, cheat, and steal in order to attain more wealth. Sound like anybody you know today? Like Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, that have both been sued heavily for lying, cheating, and stealing and monopolistic practices.
Very big reputations of being assholes.
Yes. Says most often when paying their employees tiny wages and preventing them from organizing to be able to get more. Cognitive dissonance notwithstanding, we're led to believe a myth that these people became beacons of good-natured philanthropy later in life. Do you think, is that possible though? Do you think that these people just, as they
Scrooge, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess. Yeah, because do you think the ghost of Christmas Past came and Do you think that's what this is? It's like
No.
these people come to this realization.
No,
It's like, I could do more with what I have.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it.
It's like, what have you been doing all this time?
Yeah. I mean, that's how what most Christian movies are based off of, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. If these people were so ruthless in business, do you really think they became good in older life? That's what I'm saying. I don't. These are sociopaths.
No.
Again, I don't have a problem with the billionaire, but the type of people like this
Yes.
that will step on anyone to get what they want, to get the power they want. That's all they continue to want.
And none of these examples that we've gone through tonight has been anybody giving a large sum of money without expecting something back.
It's not just them like sitting back and being like, here, have some money.
Yeah.
Here, have $1 billion. No, like that one article tried to say was a good thing.
Right.
Well, they're young enough, unlike these old robber barons that like were like dying and they just started giving out money towards these ventures. These guys are young enough that they can have a hands-on and like they can direct where
they can shape their visions.
That's the problem. That's the bad thing. They're not just like, I mean, they could give it to an actual charitable organization. Just be like, here, $1 billion to the Red Cross, and the Red Cross would probably gladly give that shit away.
Actually, I mean, and maybe even make a profit, but invest in, these countries and communities and help build up the industry.
But the problem is, if they want to invest in these countries, they're going to pay their companies to do it, so they're going to profit off it in some way.
Well,
anyway. So
I know.
and the people will just be, their economy will be trashed. That's what we did in Haiti.
Well,
that's what we do all over the world. It says, did they flip a switch in their minds from not caring about people to starting to care? Sure, I'll admit that people do sometimes change, so that is one possibility. The other is that they saw the power of public relations, especially when they had previously been reviled publicly for the ruthless business tactics. However, or how good PR was instrumental to their continued success. That they could, in fact, use their money under the guise of good while continuing to build exactly what they had before: more power, control, and wealth. It is the latter case, I believe, is more of true when you look at the facts. I'm not denying that their philanthropy did some good, but I think that was not the main purpose of it, or at least in many cases of some of the robber barons. It talks about John D. Rockefeller and how he built, well, first his dad was literally a snake oil salesman.
Right.
And then he went on to start Standard Oil, became the first billionaire in the world in 1916. And his company at the time controlled 90% of the USA's oil. And then they got broken up by antitrust things, and he got even richer somehow through that. So
diversification.
Yeah, shitty practices to become, like, he was one that, he was so rich that when his workers would like go on strike, he'd just call up the governor and send in the National Guard to like shoot the strikers. And then when they continued to strike, he called up the federal government to send in the army to shoot up the strikers. And then finally that resolved. And he was confused at why his public image wasn't that great.
Yeah, right. But, and again, when you get to somebody who is like that, right? Somebody who has built an empire, right? Not only will they do whatever they can to protect it, but if you disrespect them or try to get one over on them or step on their toes in any way, they're going to go out of their way to bulldoze you.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean,
because they can. They have the power to do it.
Exactly. So, again, it's like taking a lion and being like, oh no, they're vegetarian now. I mean, you can't change that mentality. I just don't believe that's possible at all.
No, I don't think so either. Like, again, it's that whole mindset of you step on whatever you can to get as powerful as possible, and then all of a sudden you're just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be powerful anymore.
No, maybe if you took somebody who was like poor from birth and built themselves up, maybe, but not somebody who's born into it.
Yeah.
Not somebody who's given everything.
Now, the one thing I do like I at least appreciate about Donald Trump is he doesn't pretend to be changed, like, good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he does claim to be like a God-serving Christian after
he read the two collisions.
But he's never been like philanthropical by any means.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear of Donald Trump like handing out money?
No.
or even like stooping to give a dime, like J.D.
No,
Rockefeller.
I've seen him give people jobs, but no, not money.
Right.
And again, it makes him look good because it's always in public when he's doing it.
Yeah. Says it was because of the events that I talked about, the strike incidents where a bunch of people got killed. Rockefeller realized he needed to clean up his act. He hired PR man Ivy Lee.
Ivy Lee?
Ivy Lee.
Interesting.
Remember, this was around the same time that propaganda was being widely used and turned into a science. Ivy Lee was the other main guy besides Edward Bernays. I don't know who that is.
Bernays, oh gosh. He's got it he was like I want to say he's like Freud's son or something. He's like the father of propaganda.
Really?
Yeah.
So it says Rockefeller became well known for giving out dimes to lots of people, most notably children. You can easily find pictures of this online. Why? Because it was a huge public relation campaign. So there's an image of him stooping down to give a child a dime.
I was gonna say, but with the dime back then, they could buy a freaking car.
Yeah, exactly. But it was nothing for him though.
Yeah.
$1 billion back then was like $500 billion today. Here's a whole article about him giving a dime to a Civil War vet who's 81. It says part of the PR campaign was to become a philanthropist. In 1910, Rockefeller established the Rockefeller Foundation. Again, a foundation named directly after him.
Yes.
Interestingly, PR is studied even under the guise of the foundation work. So they study public relations under their charity foundation, I guess. Anyway, it talks about he got into like donating to education, into medical research, and all this stuff.
Bill Gates's.
Yeah, this guy. I mean, he continued to monopolize shit, even in his philanthropy. He monopolized the medical training industry. I talked about this, I think, in the Bill Gates episode, but I'll briefly talk about it again. But it says he formed the General Education Board in 1902 with $1 million donation. Eventually, $180 million would go towards this. In a publication titled The Country School of Tomorrow in 1913, his General Education Board wrote this. This is what they wrote. Yeah. This Board of Education Board of Rockefeller. In our dream, we have limitless resources and people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand.
Oof.
Yeah, shaping them into mindless drones, maybe? Yeah. Because they go on, we shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or men of science. We are not to raise up from among them authors, editors, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo great artists, painters, musicians, nor will we cherish even the humbler ambition to raise up from among them lawyers, doctors, preachers, politicians, or statesmen, of whom we have an ample supply. Jeez. We just want fucking worker bees. That's what it is. Yeah. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, that is.
Like, we have this dream of just making mindless drones.
Yeah.
We got plenty of doctors and lawyers. We got plenty of philosophers. We don't need those people.
But this is their educational board that he put together. Yes. They're saying this. This is their motto.
Their mantra.
This is like their mission statement.
Yes, it is. Look at the public education system today.
Yeah.
And think about that statement there from this Board of Education that he created. You'd think they'd at least try to cover it up and be like, we're going to make the future tomorrow. And they're
your dreams will come true.
Yeah, we don't want smart people.
Yeah, right.
We don't want creative people. It says, ask yourself, is our school system great? I heard someone describe it last year as being great for preparing you for work in the 20th century. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Mindless drones, worker bees, to do the bidding of the billionaires. He also went on to, and I'm not going to read this, I'm just going to talk about it because, again, I talked extensively about it. Oh, we got comments. It's free virtual girl chats.
Oh, wow. Okay,
lots of them. Anyways, maybe that was our one viewer tonight. Man, I feel like we missed 18 sex XYZ. Anyway, as far as the medical training, like we used to have a lot of holistic medical training. A lot. I mean, it was just like a huge branch of all these different holistic medications and research and but the Rockefellers thought, we got to rein this thing in. There's too many doctors out there, too many doctors' offices. We got it. The Flexner report came from this. And this is what started all of this. Because this says the Flexner report stated there were too many schools with too many doctors. They needed fewer so the doctors could earn more. So first of all, if everybody's a doctor, it's kind of like what we said with billionaires. If everybody's a billionaire, what's a billionaire? If everybody's doctors,
doctors can't make bank.
Yeah, they can't make a ton of money. It says this resulted in women and black schools largely not making the cut, instead making the profession one almost exclusively white men. This work led to focusing on disease with a reductive scientific model and forgetting preventative and holistic medicine.
Yeah.
There was maldevelopment in the structure of medical education in America in the aftermath of the Flexner report. The profession's infatuation with hyper-rational world of German medicine created an excellence in science that was not balanced by a comparable excellence in clinical caring. It says it gave rise to instead of the homeopathic medical, we talked about that a lot we even talked about this, I think, with Jay Gulanello.
Yeah,
is that his name?
With Perpetual Health.
Of the shift away from the homeopathy. So we've got a couple episodes where we've discussed this, but it gave rise to pharmaceutical medicine, which most of the drugs were created by petroleum, which
was Rockefeller's bread and butter.
So who gained profit out of this training? Rockefeller. Yeah. So Rockefeller pushes the education system. One way to make more workers for his companies, another way to make doctors prescribe the medications that he's profiting off of from the oil industry. Yeah. And all the homeopathic treatments and stuff were considered basically witchcraft.
So he fucked up the education system, he fucked up the medical industry, and basically created big pharma.
But he's like the great philanthropist.
Oh, absolutely.
J.D. Rockefeller.
Yeah. That just shows the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And he I think teamed up with J.B. Farben. Was it J.B. Farben? Is the name of it? It was that Nazi, basically Nazi pharmaceutical company that turned into like Bayer, I think.
Yes.
So there's a big like incestual relationship between those.
As there usually is.
Says the Rockefeller Foundation has continued its work up to today. It's still heavily involved in education, medicine, and other areas such as agriculture. There, they heavily were involved in the Green Revolution, which sounds great. Of course, it's PR, but in actuality, it meant funding pesticide companies, kind of like Monsanto, or the company that owns Bayer that bought Monsanto. We talked about all this recently. Yeah. And then also GMO crops, Monsanto again. Goes on to say, it says in John Perkins' Secret History of American Empires, he mentions the agencies that are supposed to be the good guys are part of the game. I'm not just talking about the World Bank. The deception includes some of the nonprofits and NGOs. It talks about this woman who worked in an NGO in Africa, and she saw the inner workings of it and was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Because she goes on, she says, are we being used? Are the concepts of aid and development simply tools in the arsenal of the West, wielded not for the sake of charity, but for the sake of control? I believe if the West truly wanted to see a stable, developed Africa, the continent would well be on its way. Instead, the situation is worse after decades of Western involvement and billions of dollars of aid money.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the aid we've thrown into the Middle East or into African nations, or like how much have they developed?
Yeah. Central America, right?
Now, what is with the
that scared me.
That did me too. What's with the eye on Africa these days? All these billionaires have their sights set on Africa. Is that like the next next frontier of
because look
resource?
Untapped natural resources just waiting for someone to come in and develop it.
I've got a couple of headlines. I'm not going to read the articles, but this says it all. It says Africa is to benefit. This came out in September of this year.
Okay.
Africa is to benefit from the Gates Foundation's new record finance on SDGs. So they're spending some billions of dollars. Looks like $1.27 billion. Africa will be a major beneficiary of new commitment by top philanthropists, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So what do you think? You think Bill is just like, Africa, we need to do something about Africa?
Yeah. No, I think he's like, where can we go for more natural resources? Wait, there's Africa.
There is Africa. This is what it makes me think of.
Toto.
It is Toto. I feel like Bill Gates
Yes.
constantly has a song playing in his head in the last 10 years.
Yes.
It's like, I would bless the rains in Africa. I can't keep that going or we'll get kicked off, but I feel like that's what this is. So, yeah, I mean, wide frontier of resources.
Absolutely. And you got China. China's been investing in there.
We've talked
right?
about that. The Belt Road Initiative going from China all the way to Africa and like benefiting their economy.
Yeah. So, Gates is like, hey, we want in on it.
Oh, and what about the African nations that like owe their airport?
Oh, yeah,
to China?
Nigeria. Yeah, basically China owns the Nigerian airport.
Yeah, I mean it's all a land grab.
Absolutely.
Which I'm surprised it's taken this long for
I
them
am
to be like, you know what? We haven't hit Africa yet. Well, let's go hit Africa.
They probably were like, hey, look, we need to take care of AIDS and Ebola first. After we take care of those,
I don't want to go there.
Open.
I don't want to go to Africa if they still got AIDS and Ebola. Right. So let's get rid of Ebola and AIDS and polio, obviously.
Right. And we got all those pesky tribes that we got to get rid of,
I found this one interesting. Back in 2016, when Zuckerberg started his philanthropy, his Chan Zuckerberg initiative, the first venture they made was a round of funding in a startup that trains and recruits software developers in Africa. So they're training coders in Africa.
Interesting.
First of all, that probably to me just says he's looking for slave labor.
Right.
I mean, how can I get cheap coders to do this? And it's just like there's just this big push for like Africa right now and philanthropy towards Africa. And again, like that woman said, it's just like I'm watching all these billions of dollars that are supposed to be going. Nothing's getting better. It's actually getting worse. Like, what's going on? I feel like if we wanted to change Africa, we would have changed Africa by now.
And it's just like if they wanted to cure AIDS and cancer, I'm sure they would have done it by now too.
Well, yeah, but they don't want to. So
they don't want to.
That's why they squash the homeopathic treatments and promote the pharmaceuticals that just
kill you.
Yeah, literally kill you. So I don't know what your thoughts are on all this.
Yeah, no, I feel like you got this core group of people, right? Again, who are looking for charity or whatever, but it's just an excuse to get their hands in other pots.
Yeah.
Is all it is.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The Bill and Melinda Gates, they're going to help. They care about Africa now, right?
Bill Gates doesn't care about shit.
No.
Bill Gates only cares about Bill Gates.
Exactly.
I mean, I still want to know what he was doing with Epstein, but we'll never know because he owns the media, obviously.
Right.
And
you'll never find out.
saw how he kind of scolded and gave like the death stare to the chick that asked about his Epstein connection. And he's like, well,
is she still alive?
That's a good question. I wish you good health.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all a power grab. That's the scary part is that when you have that kind of wealth, you not only can you shift policies, you can shift like entire countries, entire development of countries, the entire like structure of governments of countries. And nobody can do a damn thing about it.
Soros has crashed the economy of 2 or 3 different countries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
try it here too.
Yeah. And so it's again, when you have people that they move away from making money at a certain point, and it's like the capital becomes like lives, countries, government, right?
Well, when money is meaningless to you, and money's becoming virtually meaningless anyway. It's becoming like this, like money is becoming a social construct. It's just like it's not worth anything. It's only worth what the people say it's worth, and most of the people that say what it's worth are the billionaires at the top. And when it becomes meaningless, the new wealth for them is control and the social capital and being able to influence policies and people and governments and stuff. It's like the whole agenda is to make money worthless, pretty much, and the whole equity thing, social equity, where we're all living on the same playing field. Well, if that's true, then money does become absolutely worthless. And so what will wealth be then? It's going to be power and control. So they're getting ahead of the game. They're like, well, we know our billions of dollars probably aren't going to be much use in the next 20 or 30 years. So let's get on top of this social control thing, because that's going to be the new wealth. And that's going to be the new capital. It's like, how much control do you have? Well, I have control over this, and I have it's basically, it's reverting back to like medieval times, where it's just like, well, I control all of this land and this many sheep and cows and that many people, and I have this many wenches and servants and manservants, and that's what it's going back to. You talked about how this is going back to a feudal system.
And I sincerely believe that. I mean, when you look at the Great Reset and everything, and this social credit thing, it seems like they're going back to this feudalism system where it's like, oh, you don't own that land, but you can work it for me.
Right. It's like, I don't own it either, but I am controlling of it. I am the controller of the land.
I am the lord of this land.
I am literally a landlord. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I mean, but I feel like that's the whole mentality that all this sickness is based off of. The Great Reset, again, the big pharma, the BlackRock, the Treadstone, all that shit is built into this mentality, this God principle, where it's like they've reached a point where, money's not good enough. I'm moving on to the next thing, which is
control. And if we make them think that we're doing something that looks good, then we can keep working towards that control thing without anybody saying anything, because now we just look like the good guys instead of the shitbags that we are.
And people are worried about the governments, but these are the guys that, like you said, they influence policy, they influence the government.
Well, you can't put like a face value on shittiness when it comes to obtaining power and control. Like, you can look at money on a measurable scale and be like, that guy's got too much money for his own good. But you can't look at, like, you can't even like fathom the amount of control these people have and be like, that guy's got way too much power and influence, because most of it, we don't even know what they have influence over. We can't even like comprehend the influence they have over, because we're peasants and commoners.
Show up at the wedding. I declare prima nocta.
I don't even know what that means. Anyways, that's all I got for this. It's just something I wanted to talk about, because I mean, we bash on Bill Gates plenty, and it's not just Bill Gates, it's not just Mark Zuckerberg. They just happen to be the shiny examples that we know of. Who are the people we don't know of? Like, I don't know hardly a damn thing about George Soros, but I guarantee you he has more influence than probably either one of those two guys does, or at least as much. And he's in their inner circles. And the fact that it's not even like competing against another billionaire for power anymore. It's scary when they all join forces, and it's like, let's put our differences aside. We have power. If we combine our power, we have ultimate cosmic power, and we can run the universe.
I mean, we'll form our little smart cities that we'll put people into, and then we'll do whatever we want.
It's a free world for us. You got anything else for this?
I think that you're right. I think the currency is going to these environmental social credits, and like you said, they're ahead of the game on it.
They're way ahead of the game. So I don't know really what to do to fight against this. Like, there is no icing on the cake here. There's no happy ending for them. I mean, these just are shitty people that, I mean, we've allowed them to be this way and get to this point.
Oh, we've made them into rock stars.
I saw Bill Gates once.
And
he was like giving a speech in a restaurant somewhere.
Really?
And I like walked by. So I didn't get to hear the speech, but he wasn't as fat back then, though. He didn't have his like man belly going on.
Must have been before he got married.
This would have been probably 2004, 2005.
Back when he could get his hands dirty and shape the world.
Exactly. I don't know. This might have been pre-philanthropic. No, because that was 98. They said he was getting into that. But
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
think he had totally gone full-blown psycho,
Right.
population control guy yet
Yeah.
at that point. He was a person that you'd want to meet at that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Now I don't want anything to do with the man.
Right.
So let us know what you all think about this. What do you think of these people? I don't want to come off like I'm a capitalist hating,
No, not at all.
communist,
I'm
where
all about wealth.
everybody
like you
needs
said.
to
I want to be there someday.
all these billionaires need to just share their wealth with everybody. No, I just have a problem with having so much power that you can just do your bidding and make an entire country do your bidding when you're an unelected official. First of all,
Well, and I have a problem with people that are billionaires, but they throw $1 million away and everybody makes a big deal out of it.
oh, it's so $25,000
Yeah,
to
he
a
cares
charity.
so much.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that's all you $3 million to help the housing crisis.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
In Silicon Valley.
Yes. Even $3 million for the housing crisis here in Iowa, where the average house is about $200,000. That still is not going very far.
Yeah.
That's what I can't do math. Like 10 houses, like 12 houses.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you fix there? Good job, Mr. Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Thank you for your charitable contribution.
The Bill Gates is giving to the impoverished millionaires who can't afford multiple jets.
Yes, exactly. That's all this is.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all the time we have. Let us know what you think. The comment section is always open. You can check us out on our Facebook forum, which is the Breaking the Bell forum, and you can leave a comment there. Or you can hit me up on Twitter at Break the Bell Pod. That's where I spend most of my social media time because it's more fun that way. Otherwise, we'll be back here next week, Tuesday, because Monday is Halloween and we both have children, and we would probably be castrated if we decided to podcast on that day. So we will be live streaming Tuesday next week, 7 p.m. Central Time. A one-time thing. I'm sorry if it throws off your groove. But make sure you show up for that. Make sure you invite your friends and your family and all that stuff. Otherwise, we got our weekend wrap-up. Usually airs about 7 o'clock Sunday nights, roughly in that area, where we wrap up your week in the news. And we got the Two Scoops morning show with me and my brother Dan Smots of the System is Down podcast, where we give you a little recap of some really shitty news, usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. So a nice morning, quick little show for you to start your day off right. You got anything else?
No.
You look like you were going to say something.
No, I was stretching.
Oh, you're just stretching. Have a great rest of your week. We will catch you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
The Break the Bell podcast is brought to you by you. So pat yourself on the back, because without you, we would be talking to ourselves. A special thanks to our Patreon members, Justin Zielinski, Remzo Martinez, Stephanie Parker, and T.O. Jacobson. A shout out to our sponsors, Run Your Mouth Coffee, the On the Run podcast, and Goulash Media. If you'd like to help support us, visit patreon.com/breakthebell or buy our garbage at breakthebell.bigcartel.com. Get back here next week and let us continue to invade your earholes. And as always, never stop talking.
Monday. And I powered through the podcast. I wasn't like
I remember that.
sick, but then I powered through it.